Welcome back. Today we continue our look at a moment, sentiment or point of discussion from each Premier League season, and now the 1994-95 season is in the spotlight. It would not be accurate or fair to look at anything else except for most likely the most bizarre moment in Premier League history. The setting, a chilly night in South London in January 1995. Reigning champions Manchester United arrived at Selhurst Park, 2 points off leaders Blackburn Rovers, but with a spring in their step following a 1-0 win at Old Trafford over the tabletoppers just 3 days previously. The winner that night had been scored by the talismanic number 7 Eric Cantona, who would be hoping to add to his already impressive tally that year of 12 goals and 5 assists in the Premier League alone. Now, Cantona was obviously no stranger to fiery behaviour in the past, having regularly become involved in altercations, and he had received 3 red cards in his 2-year-old Manchester United career up to date. One was against Swindon Town for a quite vicious stamp on their midfielder John Moncur. Another one was for this feisty challenge in a pre-season friendly, in inverted commas, against Glasgow Rangers. And then the other was a year before that in the infamous Al Sami Yen match where the Galatasaray fans in the Champions League unfurled a welcome to hell banner. Those sorts of numbers, not usually really associated with an attacking player, but then again, Cantona was no normal footballer. He would make it a 4th Manchester United red that night when he took exception to Palace defender Richard Shaw's robust handling of him, and he kicked out. He kicked out at him and he received his marching orders. But it's not that kick that has gone down in the annals of Premier League folklore. As Cantona was trudging off the Selhurst Park pitch, he was being escorted past the main stand when Matthew Simmons, a Crystal Palace fan, hooligan, let's just call him a fooligan, sat 11 rows back, sprinted down to the advertising hoardings and launched into a venomous and vitriolic tirade where he told Cantona to do all horrible manner of things that I'll bring up on the screen. This upset Cantona, and never one at that point at least to emotionally regulate. He let out a scissored, flying kung fu kick straight into Simmons' chest, followed up with a series of Tekken-style combo punches. The footage shows Simmons recoiling in a state of horror and fear until Cantona had been restrained. There are 2 different colour tickets to this match that I've seen. There's a grey version, which can have a few different variations. This is almost like a robotic style font. And then there's one with a smoother style grey font. And then there's what I consider, let's just move a few of these out of the way. And then there's also what I consider a more pleasing on the eye pink version with slightly more appealing writing. This one is signed by Cantona himself, the great man. And honestly, I cannot convey how much I love this item. For me, it's not so much a piece of football or Premier League history as a pop culture artefact. This was such a high-profile case at the time and was a real cause célèbre, unlike anything else in Premier League history. Let's pop that there. Although we see pink and grey on the tickets, for me there's no other colour scheme for this whole event other than the iconic combination of black and gold. The Merlin Premier League album for the 94-95 season was black and gold, and it was like they knew that this iconic combination would be etched in our memories for this season. Of course, the Manchester United shirt that Cantona was wearing was the black and gold Sharp Viewcam away shirt, and I'm definitely not a huge shirt collector at all. But I basically decided during second year that I was going to collect all of the Manchester United era Ferguson kits. So it was predominantly a procrastination thing to stop me doing any revision. This shirt was Cantona's, was the kit that Cantona wore, and it always ranks quite highly amongst Manchester United fans with its popularity. I really think a large part of that is due to the Kung Fu kick and the lore associated with it, which is a nice shirt. I personally, my favourite is the green and yellow away shirt from sort of 92 to 94. That is a really beautiful kit. But you can't argue with the black and gold. And I think the image of Cantona back to camera has left a pretty indelible mark on many football fans' souls. The only licence card issued that I know of Cantona in this jersey is from the Panini's Spanish Estrellas Europeas set with this purple border. It's also a set reasonably well known for featuring an early card of Ronaldo Nazario de Lima, R9. The choice of image is a little bit strange with his eyes closed, but as it's his only card that I know of with him in this jersey, it holds a special place in my heart. As for the fallout, it appeared to snowball more and more as time went on. Manchester United suspended him for the remainder of the season, but the justice system deemed that wouldn't be sufficient, and Croydon magistrates sentenced him to 2 weeks in prison, which was later reduced to 120 hours community service on appeal. After his appeal, he was met with absolutely rabid journalists, and upon being asked to comment, he uttered the philosophical and slightly bizarre,
"When the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea." Thank you.
As for what it meant, many people tried to analyse it. Cantona later said that it meant nothing at all, and everybody analysing it was a source of great amusement for him. If I'm honest, I think that this is most likely a little bit of revisionism from the King, delivered for effect. I think that he was referring to the media being the hungry seagulls, thinking that Cantona would take the bait and give them some sardines to feed on. It's all very meta, and ironically, in his analysis of the situation and delivering that quote, he gave the journalists more to feed on than they ever could have hoped for. So everyone was a winner. Although Cantona was castigated at the time, with many saying that he should be suspended for life, the event itself has undergone a degree of revisionism as well in the years since, with many schools of thought now lauding Cantona for standing up for himself and going against the grain in what's usually a unidirectional nature of abuse from fan to player. It's beyond the scope of my little YouTube channel to analyse the moral ethics of vigilante justice, but if you want to leave your opinions down below, I will read and respond to all of them. Eric Cantona is one of the most interesting and richest players in the history of the Premier League. I do not think there has been a single player like him in the history of the competition, and I don't think there's been another player that's had the galvanising effect on a football club than Cantona did on Man United. Therefore, there will be another Cantona episode in the works that looks at some of his other cards, sticks and ticks not related to the Kung Fu incident. But if you've enjoyed this episode, then please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. But for now, let's leave it to the great man himself. When asked if he had any regrets about the incident that unfolded at Selhurst Park on that fateful night in January 1995, he did answer, "I had one regret, that I didn't kick him more." Thank you. Bye bye.